Kevin's given you a lot of the good results, and Debbie will give you more of those. Of course, the question we were asking here is, can a program of structured cognitive activities, mental exercise, make a difference with somebody with Alzheimer's or in the early stages? I think generally it's thought that you really can't do much with these folks. In fact, that's one of the challenges that people think once somebody has Alzheimer's, I mean, they're kind of a write-off as far as cognitive activity. But the research of the Alzheimer's Association suggests that this is on a continuum. Alzheimer's usually starts about 10 years, or at least oftentimes starts about 10 years before we see the functional difficulties. And so there's a wide continuum, and the idea was even when they're on a reminiscence or dementia care ward, can they still make progress? Now, can I find the down arrow? Where's the arrow? Oh, okay, there's the arrow. Okay, good. Okay. This project basically included 13 individuals. Now, I might say that a year ago, we did a project with Pathways in our Alzheimer's disease demonstration grant last year with the Kevin and his group. I think there were 6 that they looked at. A couple dropped out, and so there was significant progress, I think, with 3 of the 4 that remained. But that was a small sample size, so we wanted to do one bigger. I mean, 13 is still relatively small, but it's we're getting some better numbers that might approach statistical significance there. So this, the 13 included 5 individuals with mild cognitive impairment and 8 others with more profound impairment or dementia. And a couple of them dropped out for different reasons. One was a health reason, one was for other personal reasons, but most of them did the course, and again, this was just for the 6 weeks. Basically half of the program, as Kevin has indicated. There were 2 basic measures that we used. How many of you are familiar with the MMSE? Use that, mini mental state exam, and there are a few different versions of that, but that's pretty standard. The Montreal Cognitive Assessment, I meant to bring a copy of that, but there's really not much to see. It is just more sensitive, significantly more sensitive than the MMSE. Some people can score a 28 out of 30 on the MMSE and miss a significant number on the cognitive assessment, Montreal assessment. For example, on the MMSE, you ask them to repeat 3 words. Face, cucumber, and wire is typical. On the Montreal, and then you ask them about a minute later, what were those 3 words? On the Montreal assessment, you ask them to remember 5 words. You can kind of go over it until they can repeat those back. And then you ask them some math questions and some other questions. So about 5 minutes later, you come back to ask them those words again. So significantly more difficult. One of the things that we learn with people with Alzheimer's have spatial problems. So there's some spatial challenges. There is the clock drawing test, as well as drawing a cube, three-dimensional cube, which is a bit of a challenge for somebody with Alzheimer's. But think about the clock test. Now what you do is you say, I want you to draw a clock, put the numbers on there, and I want the time to read 10 past 11. Now if they're not real good with, now most of them get kind of the circle in there, and they get some of the numbers, or maybe all of the numbers. But then, by then, can they still remember what time they're supposed to put down? And if they do remember, what's 10 past 11? One of the guys I measured last week, he put, the one hand was on 11, but the other one was on the 10. See, in their mind, that's 10, okay. See, so it's a little more complicated, and why don't we take that for granted? For some of them, it's a bit of a challenge. Okay. So again, fairly small assessments, but they're both validated assessment tools, and these are results. On the MMSE, there wasn't a whole lot of progress because we're measuring the kind of grosser visible improvement, although a couple of people made significant progress. You see one 18 to 25 and another 22 to 25. And the MoCA, again, which is more sensitive, though, we picked up significantly more progress. As you can see, about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them made, the star is by what we would consider significant change, had significant progress in these areas with those two measures. So you can see they made some significant changes with these. Now, I don't like to do all the talking. What do you notice there? Who didn't make so much progress? You see that? The people with the generally starting out with the lowest scores, you know, with the greatest amount of dementia. One gentleman there, bless his heart, he said, "I'm not sure what I'm doing here. I think I just came here today." Of course, he came there a long time ago. I don't know where my family is. I mean, he had no short-term memory, and he didn't make, with these assessment tools at least, he didn't make much progress. Although, as Debbie will point out, they made some progress in other areas that weren't as easily measured this way. That was significant. But those on both ends and the people that were highest performing, they didn't make as much progress. But those in the middle, significant group in the middle, and again on dementia work, made some significant improvements that showed up on this, and Debbie will share with you some other things. Now, the next question then is, this was just one intervention. As Nick talked about, our Cognasium program has basically 4 components. The mental stimulation and mental social stimulation, so this really combined those two. Because it was very much a social intervention as well as a cognitive intervention. But there are still a couple of others. There's still, that we didn't really focus on or do anything with. There's still the nutrition and physical activity. A lot of the interesting research suggests that physical activity is very important for seniors. And some exciting new research suggesting nutrition can be very important. That might be contributing to the underlying causes of Alzheimer's, and that's why we're seeing so much of it. There's Dr. Shea at the University of Massachusetts, in Lowell, Massachusetts, that has developed a little nutritional formula now called Memory XL that has been shown to be effective in a small pilot study about roughly the size of this to arrest Alzheimer's. In fact, his results are pretty much the same as ours. So we're thinking, what if we combine these? So in the future, maybe that's some things that we might consider, or some of your facilities might consider. If you're interested, contact us. Maybe we can combine some of these other components to see what he calls synergistic effect, because he notes that the research with the fish oil, B vitamins, vitamin E, none of those in and of themselves were powerful enough to affect the change or an arresting of Alzheimer's. It's only when you combine them together in a synergistic blend, as he calls it, that it makes a difference. And that's kind of, we're thinking if what we did here with this intervention can make a difference, if we combine it, could it be even more powerful? So maybe you could help us to explore that. Debbie?